A single dad was about to eat alone, then a mother's quiet plea changed everything. If you're watching this right now, pause for a moment, because what you're about to hear will remind you how a single act of kindness can rewrite someone's entire life. And before we begin, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Goodness Hub Stories, because stories like this one deserve to be shared with the world. It started on a breezy autumn evening when Daniel, a single dad in his early 30s, walked into a small family-style diner after finishing a long shift at the warehouse. His hands were sore, his back was aching, and the only thing he looked forward to was a quiet meal before picking up his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, from her after-school program. Daniel wasn't rich, not even close. Ever since his wife passed away 3 years ago, he had been working double shifts to keep a roof over their heads, juggling fatherhood and responsibilities most people never had to think about. But still, no matter how tired he was, he always found a way to smile for his daughter. Tonight, though, he wanted 10 minutes of quiet, a rare break from the noise and weight of life. He slid into a corner booth, ordered a simple meal, and exhaled deeply, letting the air release some of the heaviness he carried daily. But life had a way of surprising him when he least expected it. Just as the server placed his warm food in front of him, the front door opened with a soft jingle. A woman stepped inside, thin, exhausted, and clutching the hand of a little boy who looked about 5. She looked around nervously, as though unsure she belonged there. Her clothes were worn, her hair tied up unevenly, and her eyes had the unmistakable heaviness of someone carrying more than her share of burdens. Daniel didn't think much of her at first, people came and went all the time. But something about her posture, the tightness in her grip on the boy's hand, made him glance again. The boy looked longingly toward the tables where other families were eating, then tugged lightly at his mother's sleeve. "Mommy, I'm hungry," he whispered. She knelt down, brushing his cheek gently. "I know, sweetheart, just a minute." Her voice cracked slightly, barely audible, but enough to make Daniel shift in his seat. She approached the counter timidly and asked the server something in a quiet voice. The server shook her head with a sympathetic look. And then the truth hit Daniel: this mother didn't have enough money for a meal. She thanked the server anyway and turned to leave, guiding her little boy back toward the door. The child looked disappointed but didn't complain. That image, the small hand slipping into the mother's tired one, struck Daniel deeply. He knew what it felt like to struggle. He knew what it meant to hide hunger behind bravery. Without thinking, he stood. "Excuse me," he said softly. The mother turned, startled. Daniel hesitated for a moment. He didn't want to embarrass her. "If you haven't eaten yet, you and your son can join me. Please." The woman stiffened, her cheeks turning red. "Oh no, we couldn't, we don't want to bother you," she murmured. But the little boy looked up, eyes wide with hope. Daniel smiled gently. "It's really no trouble. I'm a dad, I know what it feels like when your kid's hungry." Her eyes softened, then shimmered with unspoken gratitude. Finally, she nodded. "Thank you, my name is Sarah. And this is Noah." They sat opposite Daniel, and almost instantly, Noah's face brightened as he glanced at the menu, his small fingers tracing the pictures. Daniel waved the server over and ordered them a warm meal. Sarah tried to protest, but he gently insisted. As they waited, the conversation unfolded slowly, like two people peeling back layers they didn't expect. To share that night, Sarah explained she had recently left an unhealthy relationship, taking her son with her. She was staying at a women's shelter while she looked for work, but today had been especially hard. Her job interview got cancelled, her bus broke down, and she hadn't eaten since morning. She was trying to hold herself together, but the day had broken her spirit. Daniel listened quietly, absorbing every word. He didn't pity her, he respected her. It took courage to leave, courage to protect her child, courage to push forward without knowing what tomorrow looked like. When their food arrived, Noah ate with the enthusiasm only a hungry child could show, smiling and swinging his legs as he talked about his favorite cartoons and how he wanted to be a firefighter someday. Daniel laughed, a real, warm laugh he hadn't felt in days. And Sarah watched her son with a soft expression, relief melting her stiffness. As they ate, Daniel shared his own story, how he lost his wife, how he struggled to be both mother and father to Lily, how he worked overtime to keep their small apartment. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. Their shared hardships formed an invisible thread between them, an understanding only people who had suffered could truly grasp. After dinner, Daniel insisted on ordering dessert for Noah. The boy's face lit up like fireworks. "Mommy, ice cream," he cheered, making nearby customers smile. Sarah laughed, covering her mouth, tears forming at the edges, not from sadness but from finally catching a small moment of joy after months of fear. When it was time to leave, Sarah stood and looked Daniel in the eyes, sincerity overflowing in her voice. "You didn't just feed us tonight. You gave me hope, something I thought I lost." Daniel shook his head. "You're stronger than you think. You just needed a break. We all do." He walked them outside, and as Noah hugged him tightly, Daniel felt something shift inside him, a sense of meaning, a reminder that kindness always circles back. Just as they were about to part ways, Daniel's phone buzzed. It was Lily's after-school teacher, reminding him to pick her up. He chuckled and turned to Sarah. "I have to get my little girl. Would you like a ride? It's late. I don't want you and Noah walking alone." She hesitated, then nodded gratefully. As they drove, Lily called him excitedly from the backseat after he picked her up. When she spotted Noah, she instantly began chatting with him like old friends. Children had an effortless way of accepting each other. By the time Daniel dropped Sarah at the shelter, the two kids had already made plans, imaginary games, future playdates, wild stories about superheroes. Sarah smiled at Daniel one last time. "Thank you, really." And Daniel, without overthinking it, replied, "Let me know if you ever need anything." "You're not alone." She nodded, her eyes shimmering again. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Daniel sat quietly, thinking about everything that had happened. A simple dinner had led to two families crossing paths, two broken pieces finding a moment of wholeness. And deep down, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the end of their story, but the beginning. And if you're still watching, let this moment be your reminder: kindness doesn't require wealth, perfection, or knowing someone's full story. It only requires heart. Before you go, make sure you like the video and subscribe to Goodness Hub Stories, because every act of goodness deserves to be told and remembered.